Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. We're taking a look here, of course, at Ethereum. We'll look at some high block capital data and help understand, some liquidation levels and generally speaking, what's going on here today with this coin. It's taken off, has a lot to do with the hard fork from yesterday. While we took some nice short profits as well as a community, we saw some nice long-term benefits here too. Nice 66% in 7 months. Now it seems crazy, but we've got a swing trade and day trade signals in our community, and we were able to kind of maximize our benefit there, but our short was 11% in 2 hours. So again, good stuff in that regard. What we want to do is jump right in here and kind of see what's going on here with liquidation levels. Because, for example, when it comes to liquidation levels, there's a lot of areas in which you can look at that are, more specific to the levels in which they haven't been hit, and then also the levels that have been hit. So you got to keep in mind, liquidation levels occur at different areas, because obviously we haven't hit 2200 yet, but those are areas in which people have stop losses and or limit orders, right? Essentially the same thing. So we can see a lot of resistance at about 2035 rather. 2035 is essentially the hottest point in which we can see. There's also a lot of probably some stop losses right there at about 2200. Okay, so my guess is there's some people shorting, and of course they have a stop loss right there at that level. And then again, same thing here as well. For long positions, they're probably longed right there in this 1800 range, and they have a stop loss right in the 1800 range. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's some good stuff there, kind of knowing there. And if we take a look here as well at Ethereum for the liquidation levels, we can probably see some really specific areas. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look here. Now, when it comes to liquidation and granularity there's a lot of noise in this chart here, but you can really see that the shorts are getting hammered and all longs are just making a killing right now. So what does that mean for you? Do you want to continue to hold your position open, or do you want to sell it? Well, we're going to find out here in just a moment kind of what that should look like. But again, a lot of liquidations on the way up here, right in these points. And you can see the most amount of shorts getting liquidated are usually about the 25x. A lot of them got kicked out at about 1900 and the 1950 range. Okay, so what does that mean here on the charts? Let's take a quick look at the big picture, kind of see what's going on. Now, these are some of the previous hard fork days. Previous hard fork days have been very red. Now, technically yesterday was green, but it wasn't super significant. It's kind of uneventful. Today it took off. Now, the reason why is probably a lot to do with the unstaking. Do your own research in that regard, but what we're looking at here, of course, from a technical standpoint, is that we are right here at 70 on the RSI. So this resistance level 2000 should very well reject initially, but it could very well break. And what I mean by that is, if you look at Ethereum in the past, anytime it's hit 70 in the past, it has a tendency either rejecting or continuing hard. Okay, so the best thing to do is probably wait for confirmation here. You don't just want to go long at the top, because it could very well be the bottom. You never truly know, right? But again, it could pull back too. So what I'm getting at here is until we break soundly above 70 on the RSI, I would not consider taking a position, because it should essentially taper off. Taking a look at CRTD sequential, I haven't looked at this on the daily yet. We're at a 4, so we hypothetically have a lot more room to run. We came up to a 9 here recently and came back down. Okay, so just something to note there. When it comes to Elliot wave as well, this is kind of just telling us that we are hitting that fifth number here. In other words, when you hit a 5 on Elliot wave, you basically should come back to retrace for an ABC pattern. Our A's are lined up right about 1770, 1695, and 1617. So those numbers there are probably good dollar cost average targets if you were to consider adding to your position on the way down. If it were to come back down, again, keyword is if, right? We don't know. It doesn't mean it's going to come back down. This is just the current highest point. It could keep going up, right? So anyway, just something to be mindful of. Fibonacci retracement has a tendency of doing what it needs to do by retracing to where it should. Right now, we're expecting those levels to be retraced, but again, we have to see if this stops here. To me, being at 70 on the RSI there gives me an indication that we might be hitting a resistance zone, but again, it's too early to tell. But keep this in mind, we're at an 8 on TD sequential. With us being an 8 on TD sequential, if Bitcoin can maintain its current price point, there's a good chance that we will see this go sideways and up. But if Bitcoin retraces to stay down to sub 30,000, we get a close below 30,000, then I'm thinking we're going to see Ethereum come back down to this level here, right about 1925 is a rough estimate, because that's roughly where we have the most recent high. And you can see this little plateau here where the price action worked itself into a wedge and broke upwards, right? So again, just something to kind of pay attention to, but we're overextended on the 4 hour. We're at an 8 on TD sequential. We shouldn't see anything much further. Statistically speaking, anytime we hit a 9 on TD sequential for Ethereum here recently, it's turned itself around. So within another 4 hours, we should have confirmation the price is going to go any further or not. I'm looking forward to seeing today's candlestick close and to kind of maybe consider a tight short. Okay, again, that's just a thought process. I'm not sold on that idea yet, but everything else is looking absolutely bullish. You got to keep in mind, though, with us being up over 70 on the RSI, you can only sustain a price point above 70 for so long. Okay, so again, In most cases, the price action will retrace as a result of that, but no one truly knows. I would be careful shorting Ethereum right now. I'm not telling you to do that. Just saying that there's some opportunity here as well to possibly retest this zone of about 1925, 1930. So it wouldn't hurt to get a small amount of profit between now and then. That's maybe about a 3 to 4% move. That said, that is where we're at there. We're looking at the hourly now here. We're also seeing an overextension to a 9 here. We got a nice little, basically a little pennant type of breakout, and then the price coming up. Keep in mind a second pennant pattern is very unlikely, so it would make sense for the price to consolidate or retrace here soon based on that sentiment. That being said, we're overextended on the hourly. Big surprise, we're up over 70 as well. A lot of reasons not to take a trade right here at the top. Taking a look at our CC Golden Indicator, we can see we saw really good amount of indications here to buy low and of course to sell high. So congrats to my community members who use this indicator. They got a good 5% gain here today, or 50 to 100% depending on if you're 10 to 20x leverage. Okay, so again, good job, congrats on that. This is available on our homepage, keep that in mind. At cryptocash.tech, we actually have the indicator available here, and you have an instructional video if you're curious how that works. It's a really awesome situation though. Fantastic indicator, glad it's working out well for our community members. So again, awesome stuff there, but at this point we have no entries right now, right? So simply put, at this point we're overextended, and it would make sense for a pullback. We're overextended on most time frames except for the daily. The daily is still very premature, so to speak, or still early. And in the sense of things, I think on the overall sense here, I think continuation to the upside makes a lot more sense for Ethereum. But I also feel like a slight pullback to correct, the natural overextension would make sense too. Okay, so I think that we're in a position right now where the price action could and should very well come back down to just again somewhere in the 1930 to 1950 range. It would make sense to retest that level before the next leg up. All right, again, just some statistical probabilities here. That's really all it is for trading. Hopefully you learned something here today. Oh, quick favor too, if you could please go ahead and reference our our Twitter community. We're actually having a giveaway right now. It's a really awesome opportunity there. Be sure to check that out. Greatly appreciate you possibly following there and helping us out and get that built up. All right, thanks again for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.